Donald Trump is a criminal. A criminal found guilty of 34 felony counts of fraud. Of course, he is lying and manipulating the stock market too. He is at his best making himself, the billionaires who back him, and the members of Congress who trade with.
He thought she'd stay silent, but she came in swinging, with facts, fire, and zero hesitation. What started as a routine appearance turned into one of the most talked about political moments on live TV. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez didn't hold back. She called out Donald Trump in ways that left the room stunned. This wasn't just another rant. It was raw, unfiltered, and filled with punches that even her critics couldn't ignore. In this video, we'll break down every major moment. From her brutal speech, what triggered her outburst? Why did she bring up things most politicians avoid on camera? And what are the consequences of her going this far, especially with Trump eyeing the spotlight again? We'll also uncover a few things most people missed. Statements that didn't make headlines, but carry serious weight. By the end of this video, you'll understand not just what she said, but why it matters more than it seems.
Are you all ready for this fight? Yeah! You all ready to lock in? Yeah! We are not giving up this country without a fight. Isn't that right? We will not give up on our people and the institutions and the programs and the services that help people live their lives without a fight. So if they want us to go down, they should know we are not going down without the biggest fight they have ever seen.
Welcome to the channel. If you're into real talk, bold moments, and powerful voices, hit that subscribe button and stay with us. Because this is where it gets intense. The cameras were rolling, the audience was locked in, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was just getting started. It wasn't a campaign rally or a private event. This was live television, broadcasted across the country. Every word she said was raw and in real time. No edits, no filters. She stood firm, her voice steady, and looked straight ahead. Then came the name that turned up the heat: Donald Trump. Right from the first mention, it was clear this wasn't going to be a safe, rehearsed speech. AOC wasn't interested in political fluff. She was there to call things out, boldly. She described Trump's leadership in a way that cut through the usual back and forth. She used words that made headlines, and she didn't hesitate for a second. What made the moment so powerful wasn't just what she said. It was where she said it, how she said it, and when. This wasn't during an election year stunt or a heated Twitter feud. It was a carefully chosen moment, timed for maximum impact. She was speaking not just to the viewers at home.
And I'm here to tell you today, Montana, that we don't have to live like this anymore. We can make a new world, Montana, a better country where we fight for the dignity of all people. And it looks like living wages, Missoula. It looks like stable housing, Montana. It looks like guaranteed health care for all people, America. And it looks like respect for all our differences, no matter who we are or where we come from. Missoula, what I'm about to say is a matter of fact and not debate. Donald Trump is a criminal. He was found guilty of 34 felony counts of fraud.
But to lawmakers, opponents, and even allies who've avoided saying the same things out loud, her remarks didn't follow the usual script. She questioned his motives. She questioned his values. And most of all, she questioned how so many people were still willing to ignore what she called the obvious signs of a dangerous pattern. And she did it live, for everyone to hear. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez didn't tiptoe around her words. She called it what she believed it was: the rise of 21st century fascism. That phrase alone sent a wave across the political landscape. It wasn't just criticism. It was a direct accusation, and she backed it up with a list of concerns that painted a darker picture of Trump's time in office. She pointed to how institutions meant to protect democracy were, in her view, slowly being weak.
I will say the clever thing of what Donald Trump and what the right tries to do is make working people like you and me feel like we're just one step away from being inside that club. That maybe one day we will be a billionaire too. And billionaires here? I didn't think so. Yeah. But here's the thing. The spoils of that kind of corruption and billions of dollars are not earned. They are stolen.
From attacks on the press to efforts that cast doubt on elections, she laid it all out. AOC spoke about how Trump's actions didn't just challenge his political opponents, they targeted the entire system meant to hold leaders accountable. She mentioned how language once used by authoritarian regimes was becoming normalized in American politics, calling journalists the enemy of the people, questioning the legitimacy of judges, hinting at staying in power beyond terms. All of it, she said, wasn't just noise, it was strategy. For AOC, this wasn't about party politics. It was about warning people that something bigger was at play. She believed the signs were there. And during that live segment, she didn't just express concern, she sounded the alarm. Her words weren't said in passing. She repeated the phrase, she explained it, and she left no room for misunderstanding. It was a call out, and it hit hard. The atmosphere in the room shifted. Viewers watching at home could feel it. It wasn't just commentary. It felt like a warning being broadcast in real time. AOC didn't stop at ideology. She went straight to character. In the middle of her live remarks, she made one of her boldest claims yet, that Donald Trump, in her words, has always put himself first, never the country. She didn't leave that hanging. She brought receipts.
Just look at what Elon and Trump are doing to our health care, our veterans' benefits, and Social Security. They are slashing the programs that we have spent a lifetime paying into. By the way, not them, because they haven't paid their fair share in taxes in years.
One of the first examples she mentioned was Trump's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic. She pointed out how, instead of focusing on national unity or providing steady leadership, he used the spotlight to push personal narratives and fight political battles. She mentioned how press briefings often turned into campaign-style attacks, filled with distractions instead of solutions. She also brought up financial interests. She reminded viewers of the early days of his presidency, when ethics officials raised concerns about his refusal to fully divest from his business empire. According to her, this opened the door for conflicts of interest, foreign governments booking rooms at Trump properties, political allies hosting events at his hotels. She framed these actions as examples of a leader more concerned with profit than public service. AOC even touched on the January 6th Capitol attack, not just the event itself, but the lead-up.
Fake, but in all fairness, look, but she knows it. She's got a thing going, good thing. She's a good thing for her. But there's a certain something she's got. She's got a spark. That's pretty amazing, actually. She's got a good spark. So I'll change it. I'll say spark.
I think he's actually trying to pay her a compliment. That she has a presence, that she is effective, even though he disagrees with her. And so I think that's what he's saying, that she's a formidable figure and she has appeal.
She claimed Trump's efforts to discredit the election had nothing to do with democracy and everything to do with holding on to power, no matter the cost. Every point she made carried weight. Each one was backed by something real: headlines, records, public statements. And the way she delivered them left no doubt about what she believed. This wasn't just political theater. For her, this was personal, a matter of principle, a challenge to a system she believes was manipulated to serve one man's ambitions. AOC didn't just aim her fire at Trump. She widened the scope and turned to the platforms that gave him power. During her live remarks, she raised serious concerns about how social media companies handled Trump's messaging. She pointed out that while some platforms eventually banned him, it came long after years of warnings. To her, the damage had already been done. The algorithms had already pushed his voice to the top, feeding it to millions. She accused tech giants of turning a blind eye, not because they didn't know better, but because it was profitable.
I hope that we all see now that the White House's tariff here didn't have anything to do with manufacturing like they claimed. It was about manipulating the markets. It was about hurting retirees and everyday people in the sell-off so Trump could quietly enrich his friends who he nudged to buy the dip before reversing it all in the morning.
Engagement meant revenue, and Trump drove clicks. She questioned why companies allowed misinformation to spread for so long without intervention, especially during the election and the pandemic. She also criticized the role of media outlets that gave Trump unfiltered coverage. AOC argued that by airing his every move without scrutiny, they helped shape him into a political force that seemed larger than life. She didn't call out just one network. She blamed a media culture that rewarded shock over substance. But her strongest words were saved for the tech platforms. She claimed their refusal to act sooner wasn't neutral. In her view, it was a form of collaboration. She described it as a dangerous partnership, one that helped fuel division and protect power, all while pretending to stay out of politics. This wasn't just about one man with a phone and a Twitter account. AOC was pointing to a system, one, where private companies shape the public conversation, control what people see, and decide what's allowed. And in her eyes, that silence, that delay, that neutral stance wasn't neutral at all. Long before the live speech, long before the headlines, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez had already made her stance on Donald Trump clear. She didn't wait for political pressure or public approval. Her decision was made from the start. She refused to attend his inauguration. It wasn't a quiet move. It was public, deliberate, and rooted in principle. AOC said her absence was about more than protest. It was about accountability. She brought up the serious allegations of misconduct against Trump, including multiple accusations of sexual assault. While some lawmakers shrugged it off, AOC made it clear she wouldn't stand beside someone facing that kind of controversy. She said attending the event would have meant turning a blind eye. And that, in her words, was something she couldn't do. Not as a woman, not as a leader, and not as someone who ran on honesty and reform. Her decision drew both praise and backlash. Critics called it disrespectful. Supporters saw it as a bold act of courage. Years later, in her televised speech, she didn't walk that back. She stood by it. She repeated her belief that holding powerful people accountable should never depend on their title, whether it's a regular citizen or a former. President AOC argued that justice should apply the same way. She spoke about survivors. She spoke about truth. And she reminded the public that silence, especially from lawmakers, can be just as harmful as the actions they refuse to confront. For her, that absence in 2017 wasn't just a skipped event, it was a message, and she's still sending it, loudly, clearly, and without apology.